We move on to the last technical session of the two-day conclave. Art of the Possible, Hitting Boundaries. Requesting everyone to please settle down. Joining us on Zoom virtually is Hemamalini Venkataraman, Head of GBS Service Delivery, FL Smith. Hemamalini heads the Global Business Services Delivery for FL Smith from India. She has over 27 years of experience across GBS and outsourcing organizations like GE Capital International Services, Hewlett Packard, Accenture, DXC Technologies, which was former CSC, Rolls-Royce. She is a professional cost accountant and company secretary by qualification and is also a black belt. Warm welcome to you, Hemamalini, if you've already joined us or you will shortly. Would like to invite on stage Saina Kuriakose, Senior Director, Head of FP&A, Novo Nordisk. Saina has over 22 years of extensive experience in managing delivery of finance operations and IT across pharma and BFSI domains in a shared services setup. As head of FP&A, she has led several strategic projects to enhance the maturity of the SSC setup and offshore services. Welcome, Saina. Please join us here on stage. S. Navaneetha Krishnan, Head, Bunge Business Services, India. S. Navaneetha Krishnan is a seasoned finance professional with nearly 25 years of experience across prominent companies like RPG Cellular, Global Realty Outsourcing, Mahindra & Mahindra, Hutchison SR, Unilever. He's a chartered accountant and management accountant. His diverse career spans finance, procurement, ERP implementations, shared services, and BPO. Would like to welcome S. Navaneetha Krishnan here on stage to join Saina. And to moderate this session, we have Nilesh Bhatia, SVP and Head, Customer Delivery and Operations, Quintes Global. Nilesh comes with close to 3 decades of experience in manufacturing and finance service industry with progressive responsibilities. Nilesh has worked with best companies in the respective industry like Citibank, India Glycol, General Motors, American Express, Fidelity Investments, Deutsche Bank, and Macquarie. He has served on the board of a private limited company as well. Nilesh has led teams in multicultural organizations spread across geographies. So it's over to Nilesh to take this session ahead. And we have up till 4:50, I guess.
Sure.
4:50. So that's how many minutes?
About 45.
35?
45 minutes.
45 minutes. Okay, great.
Thank you. So welcome, Navaneetha and Saina, and of course Hema virtually. Thanks so much for joining, and thank you very much for patiently waiting for us. I hope everybody is safe in Chennai and the cyclone has passed away. Sure, great. So what we are going to do in next whatever time has been allotted to us, 40-45 minutes, that we are going to understand how important is hitting boundaries and what are the challenges in hitting boundaries. It can actually result in getting caught out, and then of course it has sweet results of scoring 4 runs in 1 ball. So of course there are risks, but there is no business or there is nothing which comes as a benefit to us without taking risks. So I think what we are going to do in next 45 minutes or so, we are going to understand how have we succeeded in taking these risks and how have these been our success stories. We would like to understand from our panelists and see what really worked in different environments, what really did not work, and how did we make that work to our benefit and for the benefit of the processes. Over to you, I'll invite Navaneetha first to take the discussion forward and then help us out.
Thank you, Dwight. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I have a few slides. For next 10 minutes, I will take you through on our experiences on digital transformation. I think yesterday and today, we listened to many leaders who have been talking about digital transformation. There are various aspects on digital transformation. I just want to get a bit more practical in terms of my experience or experience on our Bungie Business Services, how we approach digital transformation, and just you share a practical exposure in terms of what all I gone through previously in my previous organization as well. So to start with, what is digital transformation from our perspective? We have Bungie Business Services, we have 800 associates in India. So the various functions like finance and accounting, trade execution, HR operations, compliances, right, and procurement. So various functions under business services. For us, digital transformation is using latest tools and technologies in various aspects of our operations and functions. So that improves our process efficiency, improves our customer satisfaction, and how do you create value. So we talk about value, many people talked about value in different perspectives, but for us value comes from various levels. Value comes from a transaction processing side, from a productivity improvement, by cost to serve. So that's a value which is getting created at the bottom of the pyramid. Then we're building in functional efficiencies. So how do we contribute to the functional level? Even that brings me value. For example, we do F&A process, right? So moving up the chain, how do you manage your treasury operations? For example, in our shared services, we do derivatives accounting, we do hedging. These are moving up the value chain and creating value at the functional level. How do we use digital in those areas? That's another aspect of value which we create. And value is also created at the business level, bringing a lot of business insights from GBS. How do we use digital transformation in those areas, how to create more business insights for bigger outcomes for our business. That's at the business level. So the various levels of value creation, whatever we have in scope in GBS, we try to create value using digital. So that's digital transformation for us. While approaching digital transformation, right, it's not that using of tools and technologies, just pushing through tools and technologies in GBS doesn't create the optimal outcome. There are various aspects to it. One is, the other aspects are like strategy, culture, capability, and digital transformation. So digital comes last. Before that, there are various other aspects which need to be taken care of before we get the optimal business outcome. Maybe we'll go through each of these aspects. On strategy. So it's very important is that to align GBS strategy with the organization strategy. So there are two aspects to it. Since we are GBS, I'm more talking from a GBS perspective. There are many digital transformation initiatives which are taken at the enterprise level for the whole of the business, right? So as GBS, we will adopt that. For example, if you move towards a new ERP system or one ERP, that's a global decision. GBS is not going to influence that. So you're going to adopt it and be part of it. We have to embrace that. The other aspect is all other initiatives which are driven by GBS to the whole of the organization, which people have been talking about. How we push through, not as a doers, but more as a consultant, telling them what, which can change business from a GBS perspective, right? So aligning GBS strategy with organization is very, very important. And more specific to digital, our experience is aligning with the global IT organization is very, very important. Before we initiate any digital transformation initiative at the GBS level, it's very, very important to take on board the IT organization because they have their own roadmap, a global roadmap, which applies across the regions and businesses because we have various businesses. We are spread across 44 countries. So there's a big transformation initiative done at that level. We are 65 billion turnover company. You can imagine the size of transformation people talk about, right? From a GBS perspective, we need to align along with that strategy, right? And if at all the initiatives are driven by GBS, like process improvement, doing automation or doing analytics, right? A lot of visualizations, whatever we can create from GBS, it's very important to align with the IT organization. Some of the simple examples like we wanted to implement an RPA tool, a new tool. We use various tools, so we want to implement another new tool. So a lot of, we didn't discuss with IT. So it took several months to get it approved because they do various reviews on our the RPA tool what we use in terms of data security, in terms of so many aspects of the IT side. So we triggered something, but it was a big showstopper because we didn't take approvals from IT. So it's very important that we take an approvals from IT, align them with various aspects, like for example access to databases. You can't just like that get access to database. So we need to ensure that you get aligned to IT, tell them what you are trying to do, how it can create value, then ensure that then you go for implementation. So that's key aspect of aligning with the organization strategy. And also in terms of areas where you want to focus, it's very important that we need to understand as an organization what are they trying to do. Like for example, we in Bungie Shared Services, we are clearly aligned with our global strategy. For example, if it's customer centricity is one of the top priorities global level, then how do we contribute towards that? How do our processes and functions which we do in GBS, how does that contribute towards that? It makes sense, right? It sells through. Otherwise, you will be on a different tangent and our expectations from a different tangent, right? So we are 7 years old now. So previously it was more about centralization, then optimization, then we started with automations, RPA and stuff like that. Now it's all about data, analytics. They expected different. So we heard from many people yesterday and today. That's how it has evolved now. So it's very important that we have to understand what the business priorities are and what is our digital transformation will help for the global organization. That's one of the key which is very important before we move into any of these digital transformation initiatives. The second part is on the culture. So I think people are talking about yesterday and today. I'll reiterate that. So culture is very, very important. How do we create the culture within the employees, within the organization? So we are 800 people organization, right? So creating culture, the way we do is we create a lot of visibility on the importance of digital, how it will help them in terms of the improvising their processes. Then because on our organization, maybe many of you don't know, there are people who are working with us for the last 20-25 years. They have been in the factories, then they moved to shared services. So they are not aware of any of these technologies, many of them. They are very good in finance, accounting, they're superly good. But they are not aware of the latest technologies, how it has evolved in the industry, right? So we need a lot of awareness on digital operation excellence, continuous improvement. Though continuous improvement talking about many, many years, but still there are a lot of scope for improving the process. But only thing is in a different form. Whether you use Lean, Six Sigma, whatever concept you use. Now it's all about digital. How to use digital to improve my process continuously. And educating our employees. That's very important. Once we create awareness, we also need to educate our employees. Basically, the first point is, I think many of you will can understand that on digital opportunities and career growth. Whenever we do any of the digital transformation, for example, simple automation, the first thing goes in the employee's mind is, are you replacing me with a bot? Right? That's not the case. We are not replacing the person, but we are enabling him to do his job better. So that's people have to bit understand. Once they use bots, their routine activities gets automated. Their time can be used for more value-adding activities. No, maybe this is a more generic statement, but in an organization like us, we show them a career path. So make them understand that whatever happens in their organization in terms of automation, we give them a career path to do next. Because a lot of skill gap in the organization various other areas. So we help them to move into those areas. Automation training. So people should know about automation before they adopt it. So we do a lot of automation trainings as part of our induction program itself. So whenever people join Bungie, there is an automation program, training program for them. It's a very short, simple introduction about what RPA is, what artificial intelligence is, how they can use RPA and stuff like that. Later on, after a couple of months and years, they've been inducted into various other aspects of automation and high-level training programs. And the other important aspect is the participation. It's not always top-down, right? We can't push through something to the employee because there's a lot of resistance to change. It's also a top-down, bottom-up as well. We want to make the employees participate in the process. The way we do is, we have a small portal called Idea Box. So whatever people think about any new ideas, right? It can be a simple process improvement, or it will be a value creation activity. Whatever it is, they just put on the Idea Box, and we go through that every month, and we honor them for the best ideas which comes out of that. And we also conduct lean festivals to bring best of ideas to make process lean. Why it is more relevant for digital? Because we can't directly go digital. We have to optimize the process first. We have to standardize, then try to automate the process. Otherwise, you'll be automating and optimal process again and again. So it gives the same kind of results. It's always suboptimal. Only thing, it works faster. That's it. And we also involve them in many of the Lean Six Sigma projects. Basically, what we try to do is, before we move digital, we try to optimize the process and we make the employees do it by themselves. And we honor them, we give them certificates, we ensure that process is lean as much as possible before we move digital. Otherwise, we have multiple instances of ERP systems. We don't have one single ERP system. There are multiple instances, multiple variants to the process. So India process different, European process different. So we try to see as much as possible the process is lean, as much as possible standardized, and then try to do digital, right? In terms of capability, so once we create that culture, we also try to build capability. So one aspect of capability build is on the knowledge management. So we realize that people who are actually doers, they're more, for them, knowledge management is more about the standard operating procedures. They just know the SOPs. They think that is the whole world of what they do. They don't know why they are doing the process, what the impact of doing something different, right? So they're not able to expand their understanding beyond the SOPs because there's not much of content available in the organization. That's what they have. They rely on that, right? People who are working industry and coming to GBS, they know what the process is. But people who are directly joining GBS organizations as a fresher, they just go through the SOP, just replicate that again and again. So what we try to do is, for each of the function, we collect all the knowledge assets, what are available in the organization. So knowledge is more relevant to our Bungie business at the process level, at the functional level, at the business level. So people should know what process they are performing and do they have the functional knowledge of what they are doing. For example, somebody working on a treasury operations basic process. Do they have an understanding of the treasury process? Do they know what is in treasury exposure reporting all about? Do they know what do you mean by hedging? Otherwise, they can't move up the carrier first. That's a basic thing. Even if you have to automate those processes or you have to do some kind of digital transformation, there should be a holistic understanding of the whole function. And at last, they should know the business also, what business we are in. So we have multiple lines of business. A guy, for example, a very simple example everybody knows, an invoice processing. They just process invoices. We have multiple lines of business. We have different value chains. So we are into agri trading business. We are into food solutions, right? We are in biodiesel. We have so many business lines we have. Irrespective of the business lines, the processing is same. So for them, it's like transaction processing. The functional level, they don't move up. So when they move to digital transformation, they should have the complete understanding of what it is from the bottom up. Top down is easy to push down on them on the digital transformation, but it's very important that people are aware of it. The other reason why we want to do this, because we also encourage citizen developers. The thing sometimes, if you see even today in our organizations, we do a lot of digital transformation, but still we see so many basic activities not being automated. For example, do a month-end close process. The very basic activities not even got automated. You'll be wondering, why are you still doing it in Excel or why are you doing it manual? Why? Because it doesn't give ROI. The Center of Excellence team doesn't pick up these kind of projects, right? Because it doesn't give an ROI. So just because it doesn't have ROI doesn't mean that we should not automate them, right? So basically all these small pieces of activities which may not give you a direct financial impact, but holistically it creates a lot of value to the process and function, because that becomes hindrance later on when you do a digital transformation. All these gaps remains, so you're not able to holistically move the process, right? So that's something we encourage them. So the link between knowledge management and citizen developers is, one, they have a holistic understanding of things. We make them do their own automations or digital transfer, whatever required, that these kind of automations where they can do it by themselves, though we help them and manage those processes. For example, there are many low-code automation tools we heard about yesterday and today. So we use Power Automate a lot and stuff like that, where some of them are free. It comes with Office 365. They can try it by themselves. But before they implement, obviously we review it, we ensure that it's okay in terms of controls and exception management, stuff like that. But they can build it by themselves. It's like buying a car. So either I build a car along with them, you use the car. Whenever you have a breakdown, we help you to do breakdown maintenance, or we do a routine maintenance of your bots. So we help them do all that. But the biggest advantage what we see is all these small activities which may take 1 or 2 days to develop, right? So they can build it by themselves. Otherwise, they end up writing an FRS document, then they get into an SRS, then they build it, then UAT and test systems. It's a big process. So it's a very good initiative which is working for us. And building functional technical capabilities. That's very bit unique. Generally, we see in organizations, we get technical functional consultant, techno-functional consultant. All the technical guys trying to understand functions. Now it's become, many things have become low-code. There's a very possibility like what people talked about, artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, so many things. Now we want the functional guys to take care of their technical requirements. They can build it by themselves. So, but they should have the sufficient knowledge, technical knowledge to use all these new technologies. They always feel that they cannot do. So any new technical initiative, for example, if somebody wants to build a small bot or have to do a small Power BI application, they think that it can be done only by IT or somebody from the RPA team who can build it. But the reality is they can build it by themselves. They're not aware of the newer technologies. So we train them, we will train the functional guys to be aware of all the technical aspects of their functions, the tools which they can use in their function, and also make them future ready. For example, we have a program called Arohan, where it's an open platform where people can learn about SAP and various modules of SAP and various stages of SAP, because we are trying to move into S4HANA very soon. So we want people to get part of those projects. So the functional guys to be part of the SAP project, they should have thorough understanding of SAP system, otherwise they can't be part of these projects, right? So they can get certified themselves. We also arrange for an external certification and stuff like that. So people are ready for the next level of the ERP implementations. That's initiative which we take here, because this is with a foresight, which are coming in next 1 year, 2 year, whatever we are trying to do. We upskill our employees so they are ready for the next change. And the project management skills. So whatever project they undertake, whether by themselves or their team, we ensure that people know what is project management is all about. So people may sometimes forget about time, cost and quality. Do they know about all these three aspects before they do a project? You can't run a project for months together. I don't know when it will give them value or efficiency. I think we want people to understand more about project management. We have proper trainings on PMP and other project management trainings in our organization. So people are aware of how to run projects. Whether they're smaller projects within their function or it's part of the bigger projects. That's on the capability build. Then moving on to digital transformation, because this all should happen in parallel. So I liked yesterday, I think Mr. Ravi talked about the metamorphosis. I can't directly get into one particular activity and see whether I can create value. It's about all the activities coming together. Everything should happen in parallel. I should change the culture, I should build capability, then I should build the digital transformation as well, in line with my global strategies as well. Before I move to digital transformation, it's not about transforming a process, but before that, it's very, very important is how to standardize and optimize my processes. So in a global organization like us, as everybody know that many of our organizations don't have a single ERP system. So there are multiple instances of ERP, and there are some of the entities and countries are outside the ERP. So how do we standardize the process? That's a big challenge we need to address. Or because whenever we do a POC, they do a POC with a particular country, region, or a particular system. So when you come to reality, so it's like it doesn't work, because we have multiple systems and multiple ways of doing things. So people should have holistic understanding of what are they trying to do. What are repetitive tasks you have in the organization? We should try to automate that as much as possible before moving to intelligent automation. Though it can happen in parallel, but at least as a minimum, I tell my team, like, if you walk on the floor, you see how many people are still using Excel. They keep on typing something, they go to every screen and keep typing something. I don't understand why still you do many things manual. You generate reports manual. So whatever you do, end of the day they want things in Excel, because they want to have control of it. They want to prepare some more charts in Excel. If I have a Tableau report for them, but still they want something in Excel. They just ask, can I download it in Excel and use it? So that's the kind of situation. People are still, they are not culturally moved to digital. They're still in their old ways of doing things. I think the reason could be because they want to have more control on the data. If I give you a Tableau report, I am not able to control the data. I am not able to play around. Or they don't know how to play around with that. If it's Excel, they are able to play around with various aspects. Maybe they change some numbers. We don't know, finance guys, whatever they do. But in Tableau, that's all bit of knowledge of technological tools and all that is very critical for them. So there's a bit of resistance on that. And any new technology adoption. I think whatever we have on AI, blockchain, we should try to use that. Blockchain, we are not that successful there. We use it in trade execution process, but we're not that successful. But we use AI in other small areas. ERP implementation enhancements. So for digital from a GBS perspective, I'm more talking from a GBS perspective. So ERP implementations are done at enterprise level, so we don't have much say on that, but we are part of it. We are part of those transitions and implementation programs. But in terms of enhancement, definitely we can contribute there to transform my processes. How do I standardize my process even from an ERP perspective? These kind of inputs can come only from GBS. We are the guys who are actually doing it. So I use multiple instances of ERP from a single floor. So I have 3 instances of ERP working on a single floor. I know the processes are different. We are the guys who can give inputs to them to standardize those processes. So a lot of ERP enhancements we can contribute to and make that more robust and make it more standardized. And in terms of transformation of service delivery management, people talked about KPI, SLA, it's all taken for granted, but at least from a process perspective, now it has become more digital. Now it has become near real time. So we have our dashboards, we have a command center, we have various KPI, SLA dashboards. It's all fully automated. Real time it picks up data, at least updates every day. So we have an updated report day in and day out. So you know where your graph is, what your performance is, what your tag quality and all this kind of stuff. It's all real time. Customer support, using a lot of ticketing tools and chatbots. We use ServiceNow tool for all your tickets people raise. There's a track of how long it took to solve the tickets, and some are a bit automated. We are using chatbots for internal processes like your HR function. Many of things runs on chatbot. You're asking chatbot to response to. The other key important thing is how do you measure and report digital transformation KPIs? So we report KPIs more from a functional service delivery perspective, my TAT, quality and whatever we measure today. People talked about value. Digital transformation also is similar to that. How do you measure digital transformation? So one thing which generally measure is on productivity. How much FTE savings I made. Obviously that is more important. But the other benefits which comes out of digital transformation, which also we should find out a way to measure it and report them as well. That's also very important. And this is all the aspects about digital transformation. Before we dive into digital transformation, the other aspects we should take care, as I said, strategy, culture, and capability. I think we should take care of those aspects before we move to digital transformation. Then the whole process is complete and it's whole holistic. Having said that, there are multiple reasons why digital transformation fails. It could be a very small initiative or a huge enterprise-wide project. Some of the reasons why it fails is lack of alignment. So the lack of organization or alignment, either within the organization as a whole, or between GBS and the global organization, or the leadership alignment, there are various aspects you need to align within the organization and various stakeholders, from finance stakeholders, from business stakeholders. Something works for finance may not work for business. Something works for business, not working for finance. So we should make a holistic solution around it, and we should align with all the stakeholders in the business, and also alignment in terms of the processes as well. So I think as much as possible it should be standardized, so it works in every country. I think we should know where these automations can work, where it will not work. But to that extent, at least we should know. If there's a lack of this understanding, then it's going to be a challenge. And technology-centric approach. So generally we want to push through technology. Because we invested in some tool, we want to push it through, right? But quickly, one more minute. So these are some of the aspects which you should take care of. So the technology is for business not for technology. So you should take care of that, and the other aspects you see, insufficient budget, employee resistance, change management and stuff like that, it's all you know. Quickly on criteria for success, set expectations. People should clearly know what they can expect out of digital transformation. Don't give sun and the moon and you can't able to achieve it. Then your restructuring, if the productivity is your measure, that's the goal of your transformation, ensure that it's properly restructured and the benefits are derived. There are other aspects of digital transformation, measure success, right? And the other aspects on stability of the system and benchmarking. So the system should work every time. The finance guy resisted because the system doesn't work on a month end. What do I do? So do I do it manually? You said you can do it in 2 minutes. Now if it doesn't work, then I have to spend 5 hours to do that. So that's very important. And obviously benchmark with industry peers to see how far we have gone on digital transformation. These are some of the aspects I wanted to share, some practical aspects of it. So I don't want to talk big. These are practical experiences from our Bungie Business Services. This is how we approach digital transformation in Bungie. Thank you.
Saina, you want to go next?
Sure. Can you hear me? So I know that you all have been in sessions for almost 2 days, and therefore I did not want to use a whole bunch of slides and stretch this. This is the last session, and I want to be sure that you listen to what I'm saying and you have some questions. It'll be easier for me to also share with you. Okay. So we've talked a lot about how our shared services centers have evolved. It was outsourcing in the start, and then it was the shared service center, and today we are here discussing how can we really be partners, strategic partners to our larger and wider organizations. So I thought it's important with all of you as leaders in this room to maybe just draw attention to, and share with you what has worked for me in what I have tried to do in the past several years, and maybe share a little bit of that with you all, and probably take some questions if you have any at the end. Okay. So of course, there is the large digital angle, plus there is also value-added services that we talk about, which is all niche kind of work that we thought couldn't be done out of India, which is now being done out of India. Okay. So I will probably start with two examples to tell you how it worked for me. Obviously, as a leader, I think the first thing that is important is each of us, each of you, should be really convinced about what you want to do or what you want to drive within your team. That energy, that conviction, if you don't have it, there is hardly a chance you're going to be able to drive through or motivate a entire team or a department to take it through. So what comes to my mind first is about 10 years ago when I was heading FP&A in an investment bank, was the first time we heard about robots. Okay, it's ancient now. I should say everybody has bots, but just to share with you how we tackled this at that point. So we had seen a few glimpses of how a bot works, and I had my new department, and I was looking at how do I get them curious, because there was all this ambiguity about does it take away your jobs, how's it going to work, etc., etc. So we had our super boss coming from France. He was traveling down in about 4 weeks' time. So I got my entire department into a meeting room, and I said, you know what, there's this little funky robot that can actually take away some of your manual tasks and do it. It's like an assistant which will sit on your desktop. And I said, we've got a few vendors who can build that for us in about a week's time. So what do you say? Do you want to take away some of your boring tasks and get this assistant? Would you like an assistant with you on your desktop? So the first thing was to build a little bit of curiosity among the teams. Of course, they got excited, and we said we're going to keep this as our secret. If it works, we will show it to the boss when he arrives, the super boss, and let's see how he takes it. And if it doesn't, then it's among us. We failed. We'll get on to the next one. It got everybody so excited, because the minute you say secret and you're doing something together as a team, there was so much energy around that. And you won't believe it, I didn't have to lift a finger. I just had to sign the contract and get a vendor. So we had, I think, UiPath at that time. They came in a week's time. All of them got together. They took a particular process. They made it into RPA. And this was a big surprise that we had to show for our boss when he came. And he was thrilled. He's like, oh, I haven't seen anything like this, In finance, we were the first to implement a bot. So I think that's how we gamify things, and how you need to be able to be curious, convinced, and also create some kind of excitement in your team about what you want to do. So I think that has always, worked in my favor, and things that, we obviously align with the digital strategy and all the other things that we have in the organization. But your role as a leader is very, very key to ensure that you can pull through a change like this, because change is never easy. It shouldn't feel like a Herculean burden that the organization wants you to do, as much as you want to do it, and you're convinced and your team is convinced to support you on that journey, right? So that was one digital example, and of course we moved on from there to do several things. We got into NLP, natural language processing. Of course the BI was big in a function like the one that I had. We have a whole bunch of reports that goes all the way up to senior leadership, and I think you've heard enough about it in the last 2 days, so I'm not going to get there. But of course we've, we use BI very, very heavily. So we went through that transformation. We also did natural language processing, which is, basically like the first line of defense in a finance function, where you need to make some analysis and then you have this program that is doing the first bit of analysis and giving back to you probably, a shorter list of things that you can go ahead and investigate. So along with BI, we did build in the natural language processing. It was heavily used in the tax transfer pricing process that I was leading then. Basically, we had to see variations in cost centers, and we had more than 50,000 cost centers, so it's not humanly possible for us to do any of those analyses ourselves. So we used to get this thrown by the system. So that's how we heavily use that. And then I think we progressed from there into data science. So I have an IT background as well, so it helps me to, experiment these things. So we heard a lot of things about data science, about all these models that can work, how the forecasts can be done much better. And believe me, in finance and FP&A that I'm doing, the forecast is probably the most debated, discussed topic that we have. Where are we going to end at the end of the year? And how close are you to that? And we are never ever accurate. We would have just done a forecast and then we close the month and we see we're way off from that, okay? So we wanted to get a method to this madness as to, do we really have to rely on those experts with 20 years of experience sitting in an affiliate and telling you, oh, today I think the forecast is going to be this and these are the parameters, or could we have a more scientific way of doing it? So keeping that in mind, I think nobody asked me to, but I hired the first data scientist in my team. I convinced my management, I said, no, I want to experiment. I mean, even if he doesn't have work, I'd like to experiment. So we got him in, and then we started exploring, what can you do for us? So we spent hours and hours and hours trying to get our forecast right. So what can you do for us? And we then started to look at the cost part, which is fairly simple, all the different cost lines. And there was also a CCAR requirement in the US at that time that you need to give a forecast, about 9 quarters into the future in an investment bank, So for that, we actually couldn't use, human intelligence as much. We wanted to use technology. And then in our experiment, we managed to, experiment with a few models. We have a lot of models, Ariba, Raintree, blah, blah, blah. And it begins to look at the past data and start predicting what the future numbers will look like. And you continuously test and train. I'm sure you all know about that. But we tried it. Of course, getting people, our accuracy was close to about 97% on the cost lines. We didn't get onto the sales, of course. You have the ability to include macroeconomics variables into your algorithm, a country's particular, GDP and all other factors when you are using a statistical model. So we did some of those tests, and probably after 9 months we thought, okay, we are ready now. Most of it is working well. I think it's throwing and spitting out the right numbers. It's matching what we see when the actuals hit us. And then we took it back and started to, propose this. Of course, change is not easy, so there's always resistance. The human brain is, of course, much more intelligent, is what we were told. But, slowly the change started to happen. So in my leadership journey, I think with this, in the investment bank where I was before the pharma company I am in now, I think we did imbibe early on the whole digital concept, and, made it important for me as a leader and made it exciting and curious for my team to, kind of build onto that. And I think that has really worked. So I'm hoping that you all take great inspiration from the 2 days that you've heard several different ideas. But believe me, to make it a success, I think each of you will have a very large role to play. And I'm happy to answer any other questions or anything else that you want to know from my experience in trying to, build some of this in our shared service center here. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Saina. Hema, over to you. Thanks for waiting so patiently for us.
Not an issue. I think. Can you hear me okay? I'm getting
yes.
Okay. So thanks everyone for this session. I know this is the last one, so I will try to make it as brief as possible because a lot of people have spoken a lot of the latest technology. but in FLSmith, we're still many, many years behind. And what I'm going to talk about is a very basic thing, but takes into account a lot of things that Navaneetha has said, what we need to be careful about. So that is what we are going to kind of talk through today. So, Nilesh, you mentioned that we were asked to kind of hit a 4, right, with the ball. So what we were asked to do is almost hit a 6, right? So our FLSmith company, at least from a GB's perspective, is at least 10 years old, but we have typically all the challenges that any other organization had towards the start, right, which is multiple ERPs. We had multiple entities that we were supporting from here, multiple languages that we have to support from here. So we kind of faced typically all the challenges, and someone mentioned that, you know, even if you have a digital tool, they still want to kind of download that into an Excel sheet and then see. That was kind of, you know, the mindset that we had to kind of start with when we embarked on this particular journey for P2P. So GBS has multiple success stories, but this one stands apart because of the journey that we took for the last few months. And Shanti, who has also joined me in the call, is almost the brain behind this particular journey. So typically when we start on this journey, we tend to start with a set of activities. We tend to automate a set of activities. We try to bring in typically, say, voice processing, auto capture, and those kind of things. But when we started this journey, we said we want all of it in one. We want customer experience in one, we want employee experience in one, because we cannot afford to have people work on 10 different systems with multiple you know, versions of it being used, and we need separate training programs for each of it. So all those things we cannot afford to have. Because if we need to do a transformation journey, this is one journey for P2P, and we want everything in it. Someone mentioned about metrics. Did we have metrics? Yes, we had 2 metrics, right, for the whole of the organization for P2P. Is that going to help us in any way? No, it is not. So what we wanted to build is a complete tool which gives all of it in one. So typically, Navneet, you mentioned about what are the challenges that we might face, right? So if we had gone through the tool implementation first and gone through all the other things, for example, change management, you know, trying to rationalize the process, standardize the process, if we had gone through that journey after the tool implementation, I'm not sure if we could have really succeeded in what we implemented. So we actually did a reverse approach. So the tool is, you know, implemented a few months back, but actually the change management, the standardization of processes started much, much before. So we actually wrote what is called the golden standard process. And we said, this is just not the process, right? But it is applicable for the process, it's applicable for the tool, it's applicable for all the requesters who are going to do their job, or the procurement organization who are going to do their job. So we defined the whole thing, including the process, including the metrics, including persons who are going to be responsible for. And we started working on the change management policy rollout, which again started several months back before we actually implemented the tool. So that ways, before they got into the tool, which is a standard one for the global processes, the processes were standardized and actually the policies were standardized. So these things went through a complete change management activity, which was again co-owned by the operations team. It was not that a change management team was separate, so it was co-owned by us, and we drove all of the changes within our team. And once we implemented these activities, we also had a big you know, issue, which was the tool that we were using right now had to be shut down in a month's time from now. So that was the real target that we had, and the vendor was not actually willing to commit on the different changes that we wanted to do within the tool. But we worked with the vendor. We assigned more and more people, testers from our team, to kind of get that done. So long story short, I know we're running out of time, but what we have is now a complete integrated tool which takes care of process standardization, tool standardization, and we also have, you know, all of the metrics. So what used to be just 2 metrics is now down to 80 metrics. 80 might sound too high for a lot of people, but it captures almost everything that we wanted to see in a dashboard, and that dashboard can be viewed even by our CFO. So all information for different purposes to meet different needs, all of it is available in one single solution. and the change management of it is done completely so that it takes care of all the issues that some of you showcased, all at one shot. So happy to take any questions. We're running out of time. Shanti and I are there to answer anything that you might have. Thank you, Nilesh.
Thank you. All right, so I have a few questions for you before we actually conclude. So I think one thing which came out very clearly is that, all the changes that digital transformation entails requires very patient handling, and I think each situation is very different. We have learnings from each situation, and not two situations are alike. So we have to apply different kind of shots to play to different kind of balls. So I think my question to Navaneetha is that, when you talked about change in culture or adopting to culture or making change in the culture, how did you take people along so that they are able to understand and are being able to participate in that change, what entails transformation?
So when you talk about culture, right, so normally talk about people adopting technology, right, but more from an organizational perspective, you will see everybody are using Swiggy, Zomato, Ola, everything. They have already adopted technology in their lives, but only in organizations they don't quickly adopt it. Maybe the fundamental reason could be the resistance from employees. The back of the mind, the fundamental thing which may run at the more junior level, people is that, are you replacing me types, right? Are we giving a career growth for them if we automate and do digital transform of the basic processes? But at some point in time, all the transaction processing will go away. Then what do these guys do? So are we giving them a career growth? Or how do you give them visibility of what do they do next? So I think these are things which making them resist some of the changes. They may not be open about it, but that's what they runs back of their mind. So culturally, one is in terms of knowledge about various tools, they are aware. Most of them are aware of the latest technologies they use in their day-to-day life. But it's about these kind of culture we should adopt, because the primary purpose of they coming to organization to have a career. So if you ensure that, I think the fundamental thing, other things all fall in place. That's what we are saying practically. What
in Quintus Global, what we do, I think very similar to it is, whenever there is a change, we get together, we talk about that. I think transparency and communication are two factors which help us to make any change easy. No change is easy, but I think change has to be managed. So yeah. I think I agree with you that people are aware that what's in it for them. I think it makes easy for them to adopt change.
Culturally also, even otherwise, making the move out of the comfort zone, that's very, very important, because we have a skill gap in various other functions, right? For example, we have analytics, we have a very different function on sustainability reporting, so many other aspects of business we learn from our GBS. They all can move to different functions, but they have to move out of their comfort zone. So the culturally you have to make their mindset change, that if you give up this, you do something else, but educate yourself, upskill yourself, and be ready for the change. And this is a cultural shift we should create in the organization. Yeah.
And to add to that, I think what you said, change does require communication to understand what it is. So I think also perspective, like when we went to the whole BI journey, it was important to tell the teams that instead of spending 6 hours in a day trying to crunch the numbers and prepare a report, we rather want that to happen in 30 seconds automatically, and you spend the 6 hours for which you worked so hard and studied so hard to tell the story behind those numbers. So it's also to help them to get the right perspective, that if you want to also stay relevant in the future as things have changed in our lives with technology, I think these are skills that we'll need to adopt to and learn to work with, going forward, and how it helps us. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think with this, we'll wrap up, and thanks so much for you guys, and thanks so much to the audience for patiently listening to us. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just a moment, please, just for 1 minute. Well, thank you, Hemamalini, for joining on Zoom. It would have been nice if you could have come, but thanks all the same. I'd like to invite Sachin Jadhav, VP and Head, Capabilities and Transformation, Quintess Global, to please come to give a thank you memento to Saina. Requesting Sarabjit K, National Manager, Business Excellence, Hindustan Coca-Cola Beverages, to please come to give a thank you memento to S. Navaneetha Krishnan. And T. Shiva Rama Prasad, Senior Finance Manager, Britannia Industries, if you're here, to give a memento to the moderator of this session, Nilesh Bhatia. Can we get Hema on the screen? Can we get Hema on the screen for the photograph? Oh, she's here.
No, I'm still on.
Oh, there. Wonderful.